Hey, it's Paul from the Afternoon Zone. Death from Above 1979 has a new album out available now called Is for Lovers. I got a chance to Zoom with both Jesse and Sebastien from 3 different locations. We talked all about the new album and the big single, 1+1. Please enjoy it now.
Does, any, does anyone ever call you Pizzone?
Pizzone.
Yeah, which is a pizza. It's a pizza and a calzone.
Yeah, I seem to remember that. Who was making the Pizzone? It was like one brand got
It
on
was
to that,
it was
right?
Britney Spears. She was like, "Come on, eat my Pizzone. Come on, eat my Pizzone."
No, no one calls me that. No, not a single person.
And off to a flying start, and Paul is over it. Paul's like, this fucking thing I just came early to, god damn it.
No, thanks for making the time, guys. This is nice. Nice to see you both.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Okay. So first off, let's get it out of the way and do the pleasantries, I guess, the pandemic pleasantries. How has your pandemic been for both of you?
I live out in the woods in a town where the population is 2,000, and my kids say there's no way in hell it's 2,000. Not a chance. They're like, I haven't even seen 100 people. And my county, as far as I know from talking to the lady at the post office, we only ever had one case of COVID. It was an old lady and she got better. So out here, it's kind of just been normal, like in the last year, just went to the beach all the time, hang out, doing farm stuff, and we're all spread out anyway. You know what I mean? So
right.
I'd have to really go out of my way to find a person.
It's a problem.
That's kind of nice.
It's a problem of proximity, it seems, so if you have a lot of space around you, then you seem to be not as affected physically. I mean, there's still this whole psychological aspect of it. I was living in Los Angeles when it started, and I'd been there for 8 years, and I moved back. So
wow,
it's affected my life in a huge way, but not for the worse. It's not worse. The move was an attempt to see the future, which was very opaque at the time when we moved. So now the future seems somewhat knowable, at least more easier to understand.
Totally. So how about for creatively? Because I think for some people it felt like this crushing pressure, or it was like a chore to sit down and create. For others, it was just like, let's do this. Let's spend this time creatively. What did you both find?
Well, we made this record. The music was made pre-pandemic. The record was, the original master that I did and we had submitted was in March of last year. So it was really just before, I remember actually going to a studio to work on the master, and it was right at the moment when everyone was panicking about toilet paper, like that's the most important thing in the world. Like you couldn't just wash your butt. Like you had to have toilet paper. But it was like, that's kind of when the record was done.
By the way, the toilet paper thing is a bit of a myth. I mean, it happened. It's true that it happened, but it's not because people were hoarding toilet paper, which some people were, but it's mostly because the demand for just like, all of a sudden everyone was shitting at home, right? So the demand for consumer products, for household products went way up because people were at home, and those are big items to store, right? They're huge in a shop. It takes up a lot of room. It's not like a bottle of ketchup. It takes up a lot of room. So the stores couldn't keep up with the new demand because the market shifted from commercial, restaurants and places of work to all home stuff. It was the market shift that created it.
That's an important point. I'm glad that somebody's making that.
That's my observation.
So the end of that toilet paper story is that the record was finished before the pandemic started.
I feel like George Costanza. Listen, I've got a lot of opinions on toilet paper. A lot of opinions.
But to what was I going to say? In terms of being creative during this time, I have personally been pretty creative, but then I would say in the last like few months, it's got to a sort of a point where I'm like, what am I doing this for right now? Because it's sort of like, I make dance music, I make techno all the time, every day, earlier, just before these interviews. And I'm just sort of thinking like, when is this going to come out and get to be used?
Who's going to dance to this? When can people dance?
Yeah. And like, I just think of all the records released for Twitch streams. It's like, I don't know, is that it just sort of, I've lost interest, or like that sense of urgency. Although someone else said this is a great time to like be able to just be creative without thinking of the creation needing to have a home, or
Right.
have a purpose beyond the art itself. So I've sort of switched gears in that sense in my head. But it's definitely been a weird thing to continually be creative during this time.
I, on the
I
other
think
hand, have because I worked so long on the record. It took, after we made the music, I took the music away and wrote on it and mixed it and everything for, it was like 8 or 9 months. After that point, I kind of go, it's a bit of a creative drought for me. Like I've put everything into something, and usually it takes me, sometimes up to a year after making a record to not to start creating again, but to finish a song. It sometimes, after finishing 10 songs, and especially the way we did it this time, which was very holistic and, we were very, as involved as one can be in making something. And so the timing of it coincided with the natural drought that I would have had anyhow. I was just like depleted of concepts, but I also had a baby, so I've been playing more guitar and singing more because there's a kid around, and also playing records a lot more. There's constantly music playing. Like I don't have the impulse anymore to put a record on by myself. I do it if someone else is around. And so having someone else around all the time playing all kinds of stuff. Emmett Rhodes is a great artist to put on for babies. Also Dookie by Green Day, a really good baby record. I don't know if you knew that.
No, good to know. I'm going to make a note of that for sure. Well, that brings me to, I wanted to say congratulations, Sebastien, on the new baby. So baby has arrived.
Oh, baby's a year. Baby's running around. Yeah.
Wow.
Baby is a full human creature.
That's great. Congratulations. And that is, I was reading, kind of precipitated the creation of this song, this single that we're playing, 1+1.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about that.
Well, the song musically was in one form when Jesse and I made it together on, I think it was February 23rd, 2019. I took a bunch of those early versions of the songs on holiday with me and played them for my wife. We were driving in Tuscany, no less. And I'd kind of talked about the record in a way, like I was like, we're going to make a dance punk record. That's what we're going to do. And there wasn't a lot of evidence of that in the early versions of the song. She was like, I thought you were doing this thing, and this is what you give me, basically. Like it could be, she's like, it could be dancier, it could be sexier. And that constructive criticism coincided with a moment of Tuscan romance that resulted in the conception of a child. So the baby was conceived in the early time of the creative conception of the record, and she developed over the course of the time that I was in the studio writing the rest of the record. So that sense of creation is very, very real, and the metaphor of a record being somebody's baby, which people always say, oh, it's my baby, blah, blah, blah. In this case, it's so close to the truth that it basically is the truth.
That's kind of neat. I was going to ask you about like what, because this thing of music being a reflection of, to put it politely, about romance or connection between people, or about sexiness. I mean, that's as old as rock and roll itself, for sure. But I think it is kind of unique that it's a song that it's about, making a baby and that specific aspect of it. I think that's a kind of unique thing that you guys have brought into this song.
I mean, Romantic Rights, we wrote it 20 years ago almost, and it says, "Come here, baby, I love your company. We can do it and start a family." It just took me 16 years to like actually put pen to paper.
And I mean, it even says in the
Pen
press
to
release,
paper, huh?
I wasn't, I knew what I was saying.
And I mean, it said even in the press release that this is a karmic sequel to Romantic Rights, a song that means a lot to a lot of people by now. It's such a hit for you guys, and you really feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much connection to the beginnings on this record, in the sense that we were doing it ourselves again, but also we had just actually during the creation of this record in June 2019, we were still touring Outrages Now, which is our last record, but we were also touring in promotion of the vinyl re-release of our very first album, Heads Up, our first EP. And in re-releasing it, I did it on my label, I was listening to the old demos, and then we released the demos from that record on Third Man Records. So my mind was in, I'd put the headphones on, listen to the 4-track tapes. I was in that time when the band first started. And then we played those songs live for a number of weeks on the road. So we had that, the nucleus energy of the band. We had that in us when we were making this record. So the themes, and also the equipment we use is the same from back then. The song NYC Power Elite Part 2 was mixed on the 4-track that we made our demos on. So there's all these technical links that only a band with this much history, it really only means stuff to us, but like that, all those little connections and the history, it's completely, our music is drunk with it, right? So whether you hear that or you understand that or not, you can feel it in the music.
Yeah, I know we got to start wrapping up here, but it would be fascinating to talk to you guys maybe next time you're out in person about being a band with so much history. That's a really cool thing, and to connect it to your present is very cool. But maybe I'll just ask, so we can wrap up, both of you, what's your wish, or if there's plans that you want to detail, that would be great too. But what is your wish for the more immediate future as things start to open up, and as this song kind of reaches more ears, and the album too?
Obviously the wish is to be able to go and play music in front of people again, for people, because that's really the only place where it all suddenly becomes real, is in that environment. And to be without it, this is the longest period of time that I've gone without playing in front of people and having that experience. And it's something that I've done so much in my life. I had a friend remind me the other day, the first time I ever played a show was in 1992. Like,
wow.
I've been doing this for a while. It's odd to think about now, but like, this is the longest it's been without doing that. And I didn't realize how important it is to me until its absence. So that hopefully very soon, but I'll take it whenever we can get it. And the other thing, in terms of like the future, we wanted to make a record like this, like on our own, for such a long time. And I think really all that was preventing us from doing it was our not trusting ourselves with that responsibility. Like the band has been such a big deal in both of our lives, and to take on the responsibility and say, no, we're going to do it ourselves. It's hard, and no regrets about the things that we've done in the past, but we did it this time, and in the end, I think it's the best sounding record we've ever made, and it was the least stressful record in many ways to make, and it proves this thing that we wanted to do to ourselves. Like, we know we can do that now. So even when we talk about or thinking about what the next record will be like, there's no doubt that we're going to do it ourselves. And it's just a matter of when we want to, and that mental wall is gone now. So it makes it much more exciting. It all seems it's much less daunting, and even like, it doesn't have to be so planned out. It doesn't have to be as structured anymore, and that's all inspirational stuff for us.
Yeah, wow, that's very cool. Well, listen, I gotta let you go and get on with your day, but thank you so much for making time for us all the way out here west. We really appreciate it. We can't wait for you to come in person and to see it perform live again, and hopefully that's sooner than later. And good luck with the album. It's sounding really great so far.
Amazing. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
The Zone at 91.3.